Hello and welcome to our review for the Storm Night Road. Angel and I are going to be on the house shot in this one with a sport comparison coming soon. Angel will be comparing the Night to the All Road, while I'll be comparing it to the High Road Pearl with a little different format than normal. Let me know in the comments how you like it, in addition to what else you want to see the Night Road compared to. The Night Road is a combination of a familiar core and cover now. You can see their overall strength rankings on the chart here. The inverted FE2 or squared core, however you want to say it, from the famed High Road series at a 257 RG and an 046 differential in 15 pounds, and the REX Pearl cover that we've seen so far on the Dark Code and Infinite Physics, which comes with the new 4K Fast surface, and they actually look like 4K Fast out of the box, so we're ready to roll. Also, both comparison balls, the All Road and High Road Pearl, have been reset to 4K Fast for a direct comparison. The house shot here at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas is similar to Kegel's Easy Street, but a little higher volume. It's medium difficulty for a house shot, but not actually difficult. Tell that to our league scores so far this year. And we're also bowling on brand new pins. This gets weird, so stick it out. Point blank, the Night Road is perhaps one of the slowest reactive balls I've ever seen. Now that works just fine for Angel. Slow rolling the ball is her specialty. Even then, this ball is surprisingly lazy and apathetic. Being slow and smooth isn't a bad thing. Lots of great balls are uber controllable. The issue is that it doesn't really rev. It doesn't have a strong roll, and unless it's on hard friction, it has little to no conviction and is prone to deflection. Now that said, Angel's slower speed is making it fairly effective. Remember, bowling's about knocking all the pins down, and she's managing that fairly well despite the ball reaction not looking terribly impressive. After 10 to 15 shots, it begins to look like maybe it's just slow warming up or breaking in. This is why I tell people to give a ball several games and maybe some surface adjustments if it's not exactly what you wanted or expected out of the box. Later when we get to me, I've got a troubleshooting tutorial to talk a little bit more in depth about it. Stuff's expensive, and it doesn't really make sense to get something, throw it for 2 games, and sell it because you think it doesn't match up with you or that it just sucks, all while complaining about the price of things. There's a lot that can be done to really change something up, whether it's inserting it in your bag in a different spot than you expected, sanding it, shining it, moving around a little. Maybe it's better on transition or just not on a house shot or something. For example, despite really liking my UC3, I had no idea where it fit or what situation I'd ever use it in because the reaction was great, but it wasn't ever the right ball no matter the situation. It seemed to just be stuck in a no-fly zone, so it sat in a bag in the basement. Then someone said, hey, I've seen people polishing these and they look ridiculous, so I did it and it completely changed the ball for me. I put that video up a couple days ago if you want to check that out, but back to the Night Road. We got a lot of footage with this one because some stuff just takes a while to warm up, and because of how much it kept going back and forth, we were trying to find some kind of predictable consistency. This is also part of troubleshooting. Move around, play with the angles, just bowl until the lanes transition a little and see what it looks like then. We'll see more of this later when we get to me, but it's very streaky. It'd look terrible for a few shots, then look amazing for a few, then go right back to looking awful without really moving or changing anything. One time it'd randomly hook early, then one time it'd drive, then the next time it'd bounce off like it weighed 8 pounds, then it'd look good for a couple more. It was a total roller coaster the entire time, and I bet you've already gone back and forth a couple times watching it here because it's like puke. Oh, then bang, bang, bang. Oh, we're randomly going to go through the face now for no reason. Oh wait, don't want to hook this time. Oh wait, I forgot I was striking. Crush, crush, crush. Universally, the solutions seem to be slower ball speed, and when it looks good, it looks really good. The problem is that it goes from really good to straight off the deep end instantly. She tries to move back right here because I think it's obvious this ball needs friction, so let's shut down the angles. Maybe this ball's a Norm Duke special. Just walk it down the side and mow him down. Oddly enough, that's the worst look she had. The ball skates and keeps leaving 10s, then she gets one in front of her a little more and it overhooks. After that, she moves back to giving it a little swing where she was in the first place, and it gets better. Now, it was the same for me. Straight was not the answer, but deeper wasn't the answer either. This ball needs friction, but it also needs some time to get moving in the right direction, and to give it time, you need to give it a little angle, but not too much angle. For Angel, it generally looked pretty good for a higher percentage of the time than it looked bad, and again, it's hard to not swing back and forth while watching it. I've gone through it several times, and drawing from my own experience as well, I think what gets me is the roll. Even when it reacts okay and gets all the pins down, it's such a weak and sensitive roll. It just looks like she's throwing a 10 or 12 pound ball or something. Maybe it's just me. This might fit your eye wonderfully, and I don't want to go out of my way to knock it just because it doesn't fit mine. At the same time, it's kind of hard to ignore, and I don't want to brush it off just because she managed to get the pins down most of the time. Onto the all road, and it took her a few shots to adjust. The all is much more dynamic, it hooks more, definitely shapes more, it looks like a normal regular ball and a lot more like a typical high road. Now looking at these first handful of shots, it's kind of funny because the ball reaction looks better, it's more comfortable on the eyes, but she can't strike to save her life. Now like I said in the Supernova review, pretty ball reaction doesn't always knock the pins down. Sometimes really muddy, ugly ball reaction just works. She was able to speed back up a little and get the ball off her hand nice and easy and let it work. She was able to move in a little bit. It's tough to go from slow rolling something to speeding back up. Because when you're slow rolling something, you tend to be slow, period. You know, really making sure that you catch it at the bottom. When you go to something like this that gives you free ball reaction, speeding back up isn't easy to do because you still kind of have that programming or that worry that the ball isn't going to hook or finish. And it can take your brain seeing something a handful of times to relax the hamsters and get adjusted. Angel's always liked her all road. She doesn't throw it a ton anymore, but the fact that she still has it around should say something. It's a great look for her. Everything that says road on it is, and maybe that's what concerns me a little extra about the night, because every other road ball she has is just straight up lights out. I mean, the Max even looked good for her, and that ball sucked. Flipping to the left side, I did the same thing we did with James in the Supernova review, a handful of shots with the Night first, then a handful of shots with the comparison ball on the fresh pattern to get a direct and equal comparison. As a reminder, High Road Pearl is at 4K fast as well. Now just in the first few shots here with the Night, I try several different things. Straighter angle, push it out to the friction, continue to slow the speed down, etc., and it just doesn't want to finish or drive or do much of anything. Now, onto the High Road Pearl, and I did the same things with it that I did with the Night. Threw it several different places to see how it reacted versus the Night with each shot shape, each angle, etc. High Road Pearl looks amazing. It's very quietly been around for like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. The pros still use it quite a bit, more often than the original actually. But the pair of them are very, very good and very versatile. When I switch back to the Night, the difference is stark. I mean, there's just no way to sugarcoat it. No matter what I say, you've got eyes. However, I got slower with it, and it started to look not half bad. It was actually a semi-comfortable little swing. Now, with the abundance of shape on the left side of the lane, shape control is something I fight a lot. It tends to get my timing out of whack because I feel like I have to chuck the ball to get it down the lane all the time. Being able to stay slow and let it just roll off my hand like this felt relatively good. I felt like I had to be a little too slow or slower than I'm completely comfortable with, but for a solid 7 or 8 shots here, I started to think the same thing I did while watching Angel. It just might be one of those balls that's slow warming up. Some balls look awful out of the box for a couple solid games before they break in and come to life. Unfortunately, that thing I said about the kind of weak overall roll snuck back in, and I can't trust it. I already have plenty of balls that control the lane like this, and none of them go from hero to zero so quickly. Plus, this ball is absolutely pigeonholed into one very specific zone for both of us. Can't play straighter, can't play deeper, and if the lane transitions at all, I'm in trouble. Usually on the left side, the back ends settle down and you end up getting straighter or moving left first. With as allergic as this ball is to oil, I'm uncomfortable with going from strike to bucket rather than strike to flat 7. This is a rare thing, but I wanted to give it some more time. Plus, I wanted to try a surface change, so I went ahead and switched to the High Road Pearl and filmed for that next. Then went back for another handful of games afterwards to see how it would handle some transition and a surface adjustment. We'll go on ahead and switch to the High Road Pearl now, then back to the Night Road so we can see everything in sequence. Popping up the chart here quickly, you can see the covers are miles apart. REX is the 3rd strongest cover that Storm makes, allegedly. I mean, it hooks plenty on the Dark Code and Infinite, at least, while R2S is in the bottom 3rd of their overall cover strengths. It's goated, of course. It's their flagship cover and a huge part of launching them into being the #1 company in the business, but it's also close to 20 years old, and cover tech's come a long way since then. With the High Road Pearl, same story as Angel with the All Road from an execution standpoint. I was able to get out of the High Road Pearl much cleaner, much easier, and it looked really good. This is something I'm intensely familiar with doing on the left side though, so it's easier for me to flip the switch and go back to easing out of it. Just putting it into the friction and letting it walk. The slow rolling is the tougher thing to do because usually there's way too much ball motion for me to be able to do that unless I'm in urethane. The High Road Pearl pretty well owns the straighter or small swing zone. A cleaner cover, pretty high RG core, so it wants to get way down the lane, but also wants to be responsive. I don't often throw high roads, not enough cover, not enough roll / stability, too much response. This is exactly how it usually looks on a fresh shot though, and that's something important to note for the troubleshooting I'll go through when we switch back to the night, because I'm sure you already have plenty of questions, thoughts, suggestions. The Pearl looks significantly better than the night, but I'm not going to blow smoke up your donkey. It's not the right ball to be in, so in all fairness to the night, I don't generally throw any road ball very often. They have to be pretty dry for that to happen. Back to the night, and here's where the troubleshooting comes in. Now, for a few shots, I thought I had something here. I'd also gotten pretty physically warmed up by now, so in addition to having some transition, I was throwing it better, the ball was reacting better, at least for a few shots. I do really like this rounder shaping continuous motion. On the shots this ball looks good, it's everything I love and want when it comes to ball reaction. Then it just randomly decided to throw a fit again. Now when it comes to troubleshooting, there are a lot of things to check. We'll start with the layout. This is my typical symmetric layout. It's what I have on 98% of the symmetric balls I currently own and use, in addition to it being on my High Road Pearl and High Road. It looks great on those, so from a general layout standpoint and a layout on this specific core standpoint, check and check, not the layout. Next is cover. This is a really strong cover formula, so there's the possibility it's burning up. There has to be quite a bit of friction usually to get something to burn up, but with the High Road Pearl getting plenty of length, being nice and punchy, but not wanting to cover a ton of boards, right off, I'm not thinking that. It seems like there's plenty of oil. In addition, strong covers look really good here. My Dark Code and Infinite Physics are heavy use balls for me here, and those both have REX Pearl on them. Angel Supernova has the strongest cover Storm makes on it in NEX in solid form. It's asymmetric and it looks amazing for both her and a guy with a 500 plus rev rate. With the Knight also looking significantly better when thrown into the friction, I think we can check burning up off the list. Next, I actually consider zone and angles first before I get into surface. Am I actually in a zone where this type of ball or core likes to be in the first place? For example, if I was trying to play fourth arrow with a new idle and it didn't look that great, that's not terribly surprising because that core doesn't really like a lot of angle. Comparing it to where the High Road Pearl worked best from and where I generally have a lot of success with the High Road from in this building when I'm using them, that's also where the Knight looked the best from, but it doesn't look near as good from this little second to third arrow swing zone as the High Road Pearl does, and the High Road Pearl didn't completely fall off a cliff when I moved in a little either. Again, this little second to third arrow swing zone is where it looks the best from, but that's not saying much. Next box to check, surface. Maybe this isn't the best surface for this ball and or cover. 4K Fast looks really good on the High Road Pearl, but that cover's quite a bit different. However, 4K Fast also looks really good on the Dark Code, and 4000 looks good on the Infinite, so this general surface zone and REX Pearl cover don't have any issues. Let's add some surface anyway and check it out. 2000 pad by hand, maybe with this weaker core and lack of response I'm getting, maybe it needs the surface to balance things, get it started up earlier. Oddly enough, the ball doesn't really look any different, maybe slightly earlier. I think the box surface was pretty true. It looked like 4K Fast out of the box, and when I took the High Road Pearl to that, they looked the same, so I don't think it was a case of being duller out of the box than it was supposed to be, which would have created a smaller difference between what it actually was and 2000. Again, being that I did it by hand, it's not a true hard 2000 anyway. I didn't want to go any rougher though, because this is already kind of a cover core mismatch. Very strong cover on a very weak core, and historically, the stronger cover High Roads haven't been great. The High Road Nano was decent, but NRG Solid looks great on everything. The All Road looks good for Angel, but wasn't that well received generally. And the High Road Max was also exceptionally average at best. So for a final verdict, the Night Road is slightly above average for Angel to be fair. If inconsistent, wonky optics and personal opinion aside, it looks mostly good, but she's got a lot of stuff that looks much better. For me, it's very hit and miss. Obviously, on some shots, it was amazing. A couple in the middle of the first session were great, and a few at the beginning of the second session were really good too. That first one I threw when I switched back off the High Road Pearl gave me goosebumps. However, there were plenty of shots that were very not amazing too, and you can argue it any way you want. There's no particular way I ever want to argue things, though. I throw the ball, I move around, I show you what happens, I tell you what happens, and that's that. I could go out of my way to work around the shots that look bad, and I could go out of my way to work around the shots that look good too, but go back and watch it again, put it on mute, and just see what kind of impression you get. For me, it's inconsistent and sensitive, bottom line. You can't just take the best shots or the worst shots and make a case or work an angle. I might also just be extra disappointed too because I expected a stronger high road pearl. Plus, like I said, this super round shape is what I love. ProMotion, IQ Tour, Infinite Physics, Dark Code, the list goes on, and not every ball matches up with every bowler either. This just may not be a great matchup for me, and I might have had some unrealistic expectations. Coming soon, however, we're going to polish Angels and see what that looks like, and all the ones in Storm 6-Ways video were polished too, by the way, so maybe that's the solution. Plus, I'm going to try it out on our sport pattern because smooth round control stuff is the name of the game on Tough Stuff. Now, as much as I preach about making adjustments and trying different things, if something isn't perfect out of the box, we're definitely not just going to drop it here and move on. I mean, it looks great for Chris Barnes, Luis Napoles, Nate Garcia, etc., so there has to be a solution somewhere. The Night Road releases with the Supernova on September 23rd. I'd recommend watching other videos on it, finding a matchmaker in your area, and talking to some staffers or a pro shop in your area. The Zen Master ended up being a god ball for two-handers, so a ball sucking for me may not really mean that much. In this case, I've heard and seen it both ways. It looks amazing for some people, but others are having my experience, while Angel's kind of right in the middle, so I'm still going to say proceed with caution. Shout out and thanks to my Patreon members and great Discord community. Thank you for watching, and may the strikes be with you.